Okay. So what we're going to do is look together into the physiology of stress together with two systems, the hormonal system and the nervous system, and how they work together. Okay? So our starting point is the threat. The threat could be either a physiological, like a tiger or someone that you need to run away or after, or it could be emotional, like your boss angry at you, and those threats are come and they picked up by sensory nerves like the eyes or the skin, and they send information to the brain. And we'll come to see which part of the brain pick up this information. But so this when it goes to, I'm gonna just go back to here, take and put it here. Oops. So here, this is where the information from the tiger goes into our brain, right? Okay. Now, where in the brain it goes? It goes, to become stressed, you have to have an aware sensation about what's going on, so it would go into the higher brain, the part that's called cerebrum, the thinking brain. And the thinking brain is around the top part of the brain, all around. It's more the newer brain, all around the deeper brain, which is in here. And what the brain does, it needs to evaluate it. Remember that we've talked about how the brain knows if an event is a threat or not. So how does it do it? It compares it to previous event in our memory and decide if this event is a threat or not. If the top brain, the cerebrum, decide it's a threat, it press the alarm button and send a signal all over the body, and particularly to the hypothalamus. Now, where the hypothalamus is? The hypothalamus is around here, this area. I would lift it up a little bit. And now the arrow from the brain would continue to here, to the hypothalamus. Okay? Really, the hypothalamus is a little bit below, but doesn't matter, okay? So the brain decides we are in a threat and send a signal all over the body, particularly to the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is the center that translates that alarm button into action. And how does it do it? It sends signals to generally two pathways. One is send signal to the nervous system, and the other one sends signal to the hormonal system. So you see the importance of the hypothalamus here. Why don't we choose first the nervous pathway? Here it is. This is the hypothalamus. It sends a signal to the nervous system. And why do I do the nervous system first? Any idea?
Because it would take time to produce.
It will be the faster one. Yeah? Yeah, you're right. The nervous system is a question of milliseconds. So when you become stressed, the first part of it is done by the nerves. It's very quickly. Yeah? You get a jolt of reaction, you're feeling your heartbeat, you start breathing, sweating, your pupil dilate, etc. And this is part of the nervous system, nerve pathway. Remember our 10-point of fight or flight? Yeah? These would be all embedded there. But also, the nerves, the sympathetic nervous system, and this is all sympathetic nervous system part, would send a signal to the adrenal medulla. The adrenal medulla, the middle of it, and you can see it by this arrow. It sends a signal to the adrenal medulla, and now we can turn it into red to say, right, stimulate the adrenal medulla, and the adrenal medulla would secrete which hormone? Adrenaline. Adrenaline. And what the adrenaline would do is go and enhance the activation of the 10 points of the fight or flight. Yeah? Just to enhance it, to make it strong, to make it full. Then if you have a threat, you're not going to not pay attention to it. So far, and you see here that there is a very clear line I've put here. This line, this is all on the left is all nerve system stuff. On the right is more the hormonal system. So, should we go now back to the hypothalamus and turn to the right there? Okay, so this is the hypothalamus. I'm going to choose another arrow here. Actually, no, I'll drag it, it will be better. Good. So now we're back into the hypothalamus, and this time the hypothalamus would send a signal to the pituitary gland. And in reality, the distance between those is few millimeters, I think, or yeah, something like that, because the hypothalamus is, if this is the hypothalamus, the pituitary is right below. So it's very close. I've made them a little bit further away so it will be easier for you to understand.
How does it send the message? Through the nervous system?
It sends a, no, believe it or not, but there are other hormones from the hypothalamus to the pituitary gland. I'm not sure if they call hormone, they may call, there is a special name for hormone that goes on a local area. Yeah?
So it's not like the nervous system taking the message?
Actually it's more complicated because some of it is by nerve, some of it by, forget it.
Okay.
Sometimes there is a blessing about things that you don't need to know. Yeah? It's very important, it's very interesting because there are, from the hypothalamus, some nerves go to part of the pituitary gland, some goes with hormones. But we don't need to know. What we need to know is from the pituitary gland that from the hypothalamus, it secretes the pituitary, it stimulates the pituitary gland, and the pituitary gland then sends a signal that we need to know its name, that's called ACTH. So ACTH really is produced in the pituitary gland, where I've just highlighted it. Once the impulse, whatever impulse is stimulation from the hypothalamus come, it secretes ACTH, and the ACTH go to the outer layer of the adrenal gland, which is called the adrenal cortex, and this time it causes the secretion of cortisol. It's a long story, isn't it? It's a long story, but that's where our story concluded. Yeah, so you have the two sides. You have the nerves pathway, you have the hormonal pathway, and at home, please listen to this video. And a nice way is to stop this video once in a while and see if you know what's come next. And that would be a nice way to examine whether you know something or not.